Homeless people, people in insecure housing, and people in poverty have really largely been ignored by the provisions made in the budget overnight.
The federal government's big budget has been released, bringing forward income tax cuts, benefits for business, superannuation reform and more spending on infrastructure projects. But not everyone will benefit. Joining us now is CEO of Mission Australia, James Toomey. James, what's your reaction to the federal budget?
Well, we welcome the stimulus, but we are disappointed that many of the people that we work with in Australia, homeless people, people in insecure housing, and people in poverty have really largely been ignored by the provisions made in the budget overnight.
So what would you have liked to have seen in that budget for those people?
Well, there was talk about investment or making funds available for the development of affordable housing. We would like to have seen a clearer statement around the vital social infrastructure, which is social housing. We can spend on infrastructure, which is fantastic, but social housing is social infrastructure, and there is a massive shortfall of social housing in Australia, and there are opportunities there for building jobs to be created and also for housing to be created. And then on a wider perspective in relation to homelessness as a whole problem, 116,000 people in the last census every night in Australia are homeless, and there was no national commentary around how people who are homeless might be supported through this period of time during the recession. Many people who are on low incomes or currently not working or are likely to lose their jobs despite the stimulus, in recognition of ending of JobKeeper and other support packages, are going to be teetering on the brink of homelessness. I can only see that homelessness is going to go up, and it wasn't mentioned at all.
What are you seeing and hearing across Australia among these groups? How much money are they surviving on at the moment, and what do you predict for the future when JobKeeper, JobSeeker do get cut?
Well, interestingly, with JobSeeker and the increased payment, the COVID supplement, many people that we work with who are recipients of that income support have described that actually for the first time in years they have been able to, pay down debt, pay down rent, pay down other debts, and make purchases which are not just a choice between buying food or paying rent or buying medicine for medications, and actually being able to do all of those things in a way which has actually improved their overall well-being as a result of that. What we see is that when the COVID supplement comes off, particularly on JobSeeker, is that those people are going to be back in a situation where they're going to be expected to survive on $40 a day, which is way below the poverty rate. So those people will be tipped back into poverty and will have to make choices around paying rent, buying food, or buying a school uniform, or buying medications that the rest of us are able to take for granted, and that those problems will recur. Whereas at the moment, those people are actually benefiting from those opportunities, and we have seen are paying down debt and spending wisely.
Do you think the new JobMaker incentive will help those people in any way?
Well, I think an idea of a wage subsidy in order to encourage employers to generate more employment opportunities is welcome. But at this stage, it's difficult to see where those jobs are actually going to come from in the economy, and whether they're going to be proximate to where people actually currently live and need to work. Major infrastructure projects, particularly road building and other activities like that, are not necessarily close to concentrations of population where people are actually seeking work. But the principle of a wage subsidy to stimulate opportunities for people to come to work is good, although it will ultimately be more cost effective for an employer to employ someone on 20 hours a week and secure a whole subsidy than it will be to employ them full time and only secure the same amount of subsidy. So we may see an increase in part-time work, and many people are unable to make ends meet effectively on a part-time wage.
There are already so many incentives out there. What more can the government do?
Well, I think what would be really important, and we would really like to have seen last night, was a clearer commitment around COVID supplement in relation to job seeker, and a clearer commitment that at the end of the supplement period, that income support in this country is not going to fall back to $40 a day. There is a widespread recognition amongst economists and a broad church of interested parties who recognize that trying to survive on $40 a day is really an incredibly difficult thing to do, and that people have been able to benefit from an increase in that floor, which was the New Start rate. And we would like to have seen a commitment yesterday that even if job seeker has to come to an end, or the supplement has to come to an end, and we recognize and understand that it can't necessarily be sustained indefinitely, that there would be a floor below which income support would not fall. And we would like to have seen that, and I think that would have given reassurance and encouragement to people who are, and to use the Treasurer's words many times yesterday evening, through no fault of their own, currently unable to work, and face the prospect of being on $40 a day in the relatively close future.
Thanks for joining us, James Toomey from Mission Australia. For more, visit australianonlinenews.com.au.